Good morning and welcome to Waking Up California with Diego Martinez, candidate for Congress District 13. That's it, District 13. We are in the race, we are in the hunt for District 13. We're running for Congress. We'll talk a little bit about what is District 13. District 13 is the north of Fresno all the way up to Lathrop. So in essence is the Central Valley of California, where we're running for Congress. Here today, this morning, I want to thank everybody who has donated to our campaign. We have bought yard signs. We have over 300 yard signs out right now in the Central Valley. We are getting more, so we're going to keep asking for donations because your donations right now are going into, we have our bumper stickers came out. We have our banners that came out. We do have our yard signs that have came out already. This is where our donation money is going to. We're not using it for gas. We're not using it for other than advertisement at this moment. So we do have yard signs. We got 500 yard signs. We are limited to about 40 to 50 yard signs that are left right now. So if you need a yard sign, leave your comments underneath and we will be happy to get you a yard sign today or tomorrow. They're out there. We have them. We're able to deliver them. I want to thank everybody who showed up to Grizzlies last night to show your support. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys that are helping me along this journey and that are showing me your support to be able to win this seat and be able to move forward in this campaign. We have a lot of questions that have happened. I have touched a lot of doors in the last few days, which have opened up a lot more questions like, who is Diego Martinez? What do you stand for? What party are you with? Are you going to go to Washington and are you going to be status quo, or are you actually going to work for the people who hired you? Like always, the cat's got to be in the video. She'll be up here in just a little bit, huh? There she is. Cat's always got to be in the video so everybody can see. Every week she has to come up and be part of the video. So we got a lot of questions. We got to talk to a lot of people. We talked to over 250 people just the other night while we were out touching doors and letting people know what we were about in a specific area that we actually targeted. We are going to touch every small town and every city in our district, which is north of Fresno all the way to Lathrop. It's just taking us a little bit of time to get on the movement here. We already started. We're going to finish up the area that we started, which is the west side of Merced into the north side of Merced. We're going to finish up that before we move to Atwater, before we go ahead and go to Los Baños and Kerman and Dos Palos and all that area. We are actually on track to be there and just talk to people and let them know what we're running for and what we stand on. So let's get to some of these questions. I am not going to Washington to be on status quo. I am running for Congress because we have had an unjust of our elected officials. We haven't had a real elected official who actually goes to Washington or Sacramento, who actually stands up for the people that hire them. We don't. We haven't saw a real candidate. We haven't really saw a real politician per se. Let's call it what it is, that actually stands in Sacramento or Washington, D.C., that actually stands for us, the people of their district. We have had congressmen who've been in office for years that talk about the water, every recycling center, they talk about water every time there's about time for them to get reelected. Yet we still have worse water problems now than we did when they got into office. So what are they doing for us? So no, I am not planning to go to Washington, D.C. to sit on my hands and watch things go by. I'm planning to go there to shake things up and get things done for the Central Valley and for the United States. What are you going to do? What am I going to do for the California taxpayers? Well, here's the thing. It's not just the California taxpayers. I'm going to Washington, D.C. to represent the people of District 13, but also the American people and everybody else in every other district. I'm going to be a civil servant is what I'm going to go to Washington for. I'm not going to go there for a paycheck because, honestly, I make more money in my job right now than I would as a congressman. That being said, we need to unite California. We need to unite our district. This isn't about party lines anymore because both parties have failed the California people and the American people at the same thing. We have a president that doesn't know one country from the other. If any of you guys watched the State of Union the other day, we are in the middle of going to war right now because our legislation and our president couldn't have a backbone and stand up and fix stuff. Everybody accused Donald Trump of going into World War III. Yeah, it looks like Joe Biden is the one who's going to take us right now into World War III. I hope it doesn't go to that far, but we need a voice that's going to stand up for us and stop. What have I done? That's a good question because everybody wants to know, what have you done? In the political realm, I haven't done much. I ran for governor during the recall. We had a successful campaign, even though we ended up towards the bottom of the list. And people say, well, what do you mean you ran a successful campaign? For being somebody who's not really known, never done any political stuff, never ran for city council, never done anything, and still end up in the top 30, that's not bad. Out of 48, we got somewhere around 25, I believe, is where we ended up. We do help with the homeless problems. We do feed the homeless once a week. We actually do work in local communities and try to make things better. I have done a water rally and talking about water here in California in the Central Valley. We also understand that a lot of the water issues is not just that we don't have enough water, it's that every group is fighting for the water. We have solutions for the water, such as desalination plants and hydro abilities. We have the ability to start 4 desalination plants in the state of California at any given time. We already have them. Santa Barbara ran on desalination for a long time. We also have had the problems of not being able to store our water, right? We need water storage, not only underground, but also above ground. We need our infrastructure in the state of California to be better so we can get water to where it needs to be. Instead of dumping the water into the ocean, we can actually put the water into infrastructure where we can hold our water. Right now, 3 years ago, we had the most water anywhere. We actually had a great rainfall. We actually had overstorage of water. And now 3 years later, we're in the biggest drought ever. This is the first time in California history that the state of California, the governor has issued a state of emergency over water, saying that if we don't get water within the next 2 years, we're going to be out of water, yet we are still dumping our water into the ocean. That makes no sense either way. You're in a state of emergency because we don't have water, but we're still dumping water. Instead of taking the resources and start building the infrastructure that we need to be able to hold the water, instead of dumping it into the ocean because we're guessing it's going to overflow or the rainfall that's coming this year is going to overwhelm what we have. Well, that's not really true because in the state of emergency for water, our governor said that in the next 2 years, we will no longer have water available. So we have got to fix that problem.
You
this
have
is a problem
mail.
that's been going on forever that we got to fix right now. It's not just about farmers. It's not just about the dairy people. It's not just about the salmon people. Right now, it's about the California people having a livelihood. We're demanding more produce from our farmers, yet we're not giving them the water that they need. We want to know why when we go to the grocery store, the prices are so high right now, but we don't understand that we're charging a premium for water to the farmers to be able to grow our vegetables, which in turn charge us a premium for selling their products. So we cost our own inflation here in California. We need to stop that. We need to bring jobs back into the United States. The XL pipeline is one of the reasons why our gas prices are so high. Yes, in the state of California, we're overtaxed on gas. We all know that. We're probably paying $1 in taxes more than anybody else in the United States. That was a California-made problem because we voted on that, which is something that we have to repel. The governor of the state actually has the right to lower or raise those taxes at any time that they see fit. So, yes, part of it is Gavin Newsom. The other part is Joe Biden and the administration when they cut off the XL pipeline and we lost 7,500 jobs to the American people. That's a lot of jobs and that's a lot of money that we threw out. That's, again, another money that we're actually spending in another country to get their oil so that we can have gas here in the United States. Does anybody ever know what happens if one of those big tankers that's coming from another country sinks? The whole leaks across the ocean. What will that do to our environment? Do we ever not think about that? Is that worse in our environment than actually drilling inland like we have been, putting the XL pipeline back on, getting 75 people back to work, and actually thinking about American people first? We need people in Congress who are going to think about Americans first. California, and I'll just bring it out. What am I going to do for the California taxpayers? Because that was the specific question that was asked to me. Here's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to try to reform education and where the federal money comes for education and where it actually spend on. What I mean by that is simple. There's something that we're missing in California. Not everybody here is meant to go to college, but everybody in California is meant to be able to make a good living and provide for their family, for their well-being. So one of the things that we need to do is bring trade schools back. Okay, so how do we get trade schools back in California? The federal government sends money for education. I'm going to propose a bill that a portion of the money that's sent back into California for education is used to fund trade schools through junior colleges. But not only that, for your kids and grandkids who are going to school right now, when you're going to go from junior high all the way to high school, you will not be able to graduate high school if you don't have a trade school behind you, if you haven't completed at least 2 to 3 years of a trade school, of a trade class in high school. You know, like right now, if you don't complete your CRT training, you can't graduate. Well, let's kick CRT out of there. That's a great course if you take it in college. If you elect to know about CRT, that's great. But that's not something that should be taught to our high school kids. The same thing with sexual education, the way that's being taught right now, which is almost pornography, what they're teaching from the 3rd grade up. That is something that we should not be teaching our kids. We should never be teaching our kids sexuality at school. We should never be able to tell our kids what sex they should be or shouldn't be. Teachers, if you're a male, you're a mister. If you're a female, you're a missus. There is no in between. Yeah, we're hearing all these stories and we're watching, oh, my kids think it's so cute. They call me an id or whatever. No. That is not something that needs to be taught in school. That's something that's either taught at home or in church or not taught. But that is not something that we're sending our kids and our hard-earned tax dollars to pay these teachers to teach. They're not psychologists. The teachers should be teaching history, math, science. There should be a trade. Your kids should have to go through a welding class, a metal class, a wood class, mechanics, ag, cooking, anything that will provide them an opportunity to have a job the minute that they leave high school. The biggest question I got to everybody here: what is a high school diploma worth today? What is a high school diploma worth in 2022? When your kids can't even read past a 3rd grade level. When some of the kids graduating don't even know the Constitution of the United States, don't even know history. What is a high school diploma worth? That brings me up to school choice. We hear it all the time. Everywhere I go. What do you feel about school choice? What do you think? We need to sign the petition. We need to get school choice. What is school choice? Because if you break it down to the narrative, let's call the word of what it is: school choice. School choice. Charter schools, they're already here. You can't actually send your kid to charter school if you want to. Private school, they're already available. You can send them to private school if you want. The only thing that really changes is if you're in a district, and the district has 1 or 2 good schools, because that's all they have. Otherwise, our education wouldn't be so bad that you can actually try to get in there if there's an opening and push your kid into there. But most of the schools are overfilled as they are. So how many of you guys think that if you don't go to that school right now, that you actually could get one of your kids in there? Now, people say the money follows the kid. I understand that. But the money already follows the kid because your schools are getting paid for your kids to go to school. We, the California taxpayers, are actually paying for that. Now, there is a part of this that I actually agree on. If your kid goes to a charter school, the state should pay the charter school what they pay a normal school, so the parents don't have to pay for the books, the materials, and the curriculum for the kid to be able to learn. I agree with that 100%. That is something that we need to fix. But as far as saying school choice, that's already there, other than you get to move your kid within districts to a better school. But remember this, all those schools are full already. There isn't really vacancies. So do you really think if you're living in this side of town that you're going to get your kid over here at this side of town because the school's better? Most likely it's not going to happen. I'm not saying it can't happen. What I'm saying, most likely it won't happen because of where we are today, especially in our country, in our state, where everything is so expensive. How many of us can actually afford gas to go from one side of town to the other every day, twice a day, to take our kids to school? Or is it easier for them to actually go up front, grab the school bus, and go to school? Which, that brings us to schools have now charged for your kids to go to school if they're taking the public bus. I don't know what it is in your area. In my area, it was $100 or $200 a year for my daughter to be able to ride the school bus to go to school. So where's our tax dollars going? Where's all this money that's supposed to be going into education? And how come it's not getting used for the right purposes? My theory behind this is we rip education at the bottom, we pull it out, and we actually look at the real problem. Let's look at the root of the problem. School choice is great. You want to pass it, pass it. Be able to go to any school. $1,400 follows the kids where they go. I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay with the bad schools. I'm not okay with teachers not being held accountable, school boards not being held accountable, teachers' unions not being held accountable for what's being taught in the schools. Somebody said this to me. The good thing about school choice is this. Once the schools stop getting the money for the child because the child went somewhere and our attendance is down, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to stop sending your kids to school just because you couldn't put them in that Ivy League high school that you want to put them to. You're still going to send them to school. Proof of it is very simple. When we did the walkouts for mask mandates, 10% of the kids walked out. The other 90% stayed. That means 90% of the parents didn't care, weren't involved, weren't interested in it because their kids needed to go to school, they needed to learn, they needed to be getting educated, they didn't need to be standing outside holding a sign saying we're not going to school. It's going to be the same concept when we do school choice and nothing changes in education. Some kids are going to get stuck in a bad school because guess what? That's just what you get. And the schools will even be worse at that point because they know that your kids have to go to that school. They don't have, yeah, they have a choice, but they're not going to get into one of those schools because those people who live around that school have already saturated that school. They're overpopulated as it is. So let's do this. Vote yes on school choice, but let's vote to deroot the school system and fix our education. Let's hold people accountable. If a police officer goes to work, does something bad, there is no immunity. He's not protected. The union doesn't even help him. They decertify him from being able to actually be a police officer. Yet when a teacher does bad, we change them over to a different district. Why don't we have the same standards for teachers? If you're teaching bad, if you're caught doing something wrong, why aren't we taking their credentials where they can't teach anymore? Again, teachers are like politicians. You do a lousy job here, so we're going to promote you to the next school, or we're going to promote you to Congress. This is the problems that we're having. This is the real education problems that we're having here right now. Is that guess what? We're promoting people who do a lousy job. We've been promoting teachers. We're giving them raises. We're letting them being protected by the teachers union. Instead of actually saying, no, you're not a good teacher. You don't need this job. You're fired. Pull their credentials. Hold teachers accountable. Hold the school boards accountable. Hold the superintendents accountable. And at the end of the day, fight the teachers union to hold their teachers responsible like they do to the rest of us in this world, to the rest of us who go to work. That is a way better program than a school choice. I'm not saying school choice is not a good idea. I said that we need to fix education to make school choice a better idea. Because when you're telling me that you have a choice to go to school and all the schools are full, you really don't have a choice. You still have to send your kid to the best school. And some of you parents that are living in a good school district, if you don't get on your A game and you don't get your kids in there right, you're going to be taking your kids on the other side of town to not a very good school. Think about that as we think about school choice and what it really means and what it really is. So me going to Congress, I want to fight for our education system, to deroot our education system and actually get the right education that our kids deserve. Because we are paying. We, the California taxpayers, are paying for our kids to go to school. All of us are paying for it. It doesn't matter where you land. We're all paying for it if we pay taxes. They are taxing you for that school district. So we demand, and we should be demanding, better education for our kids from the ground up. We should be demanding a trade school in our high schools and our junior highs so that our kids could actually learn a trade. So when they get out of high school, their high school diploma actually means something. No kid get left behind. How many of us heard that? That was one of the catchphrases that kept going on forever and ever and ever, right? No kid left behind. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't one kid that got left behind. It's all the kids got left behind. Why? Because now we're giving them a participation award. Now we're pushing these kids from, oh, you can't read, but you came to school for the 3rd grade. We're pushing you to the 4th grade, now to the 5th grade, now to the 6th grade. Oh, you're a senior in high school. You took CRT? Great. You graduated. Oh, you can't read a billboard? Sorry, not a problem. You passed all these grades. You should be good to go. We're creating failures. We're creating people who have excuses on why they can't succeed in life. One of the worst things I've ever heard is people who were born in this country complain and say they got suppressed. We're suppressed. How are you suppressed? You were born in the greatest country in the world. You have every opportunity to succeed. There's where CRT doesn't make sense to be taught to our kids. CRT is an excuse for failure. It's an excuse for what's going on in life. That's why participation awards and no kid left behind, it's a bad idea and it should never, ever been allowed to happen. Because every kid's getting left behind. Every kid's getting left behind when they get passed just for participating. You're suppressed because you were born in the United States. No, you don't have a clue what suppression really means. That's just an excuse for you not getting off your butt and going to school and getting a better education and working. It's not your neighborhood, it's a choice. And the minute that we understand that is the minute that we change how everybody reacts. Why are we letting people sit here and make excuses for failing because we gave them a participation award? We need to get off that program of no kid left behind, and we need to get to the program of education and educating our kids and making sure they can read before they go to the next grade level, making sure that that graduation, that high school diploma actually means something with a trade school, with ability to get a job when you get out of high school, not just play Xbox, but actual job. We have to reinforce our core values as human beings, as Republicans, as conservatives, as people who actually value life, our home. We have lost that. Somewhere along this transition, we have lost our own values. You see kids disrespecting their parents because of government overreach. Government overreach. I'll say that again. Because now you can't raise your kids the way you want to. The government wants to tell you how to raise your kids. Well, the government wants to tell you how to raise your kids. Go have your own damn kids. Because these are the kids that we feed, we raise. We make sure have everything that they need. Yet they can disrespect a parent, and a parent can no longer do anything. Talked a little bit about school choice. Did you know that if your kids don't go to school, you actually they'll actually find you and send you to court, and then can put you in jail because your kid didn't go to school? That's a government overreach. We have got to get government out of our daily lives. We have got to get government to step away and let parents be parents and do their job. We have got to stop making excuses like CRT for our kids to fail. We have got to give them motivation to succeed in life. And that's what we are failing our kids in the next generation. You don't believe me? Go look at any 20-year-old right now. 10% of them actually have their head on straight and actually know what they're doing. What about the other 90% that barely graduated high school because they participated in high school activities, because they participated in going to school? That this world isn't about participation. This world is about failures. And failures aren't bad. When you fail at something, it just tells you that you need to work harder. It tells you that you need to improve. Most people who are billionaires in this country failed a billion times. But it's not about the failure. It's about getting up and doing better and getting better. But you don't know that when you got a participation award to move on to the next thing. That is what's costing us a lot of problems. We are giving people participation awards. So we're not letting people understand at a young age. We're not letting our kids understand at a young age that failure is common. But failure is only a setback of what you can't succeed. We are not pushing ourselves to our limits. Why? Because we got a participation award. Because we can't get fired because we're a teacher and we did a lousy job, and the union will protect us. The union will move us to the next level. The union will move us to a next school so we can keep going. This is the stuff that we need to stop. School choice is a great idea, but only if we deroot our education system and we actually get it to where it's supposed to be. That's really where it comes down to it. And if we can't do that, then there's no sense in doing school choice, because kids will get left behind even worse than they are now, because nobody's holding teachers accountable. Nobody's holding the teachers' unions accountable. Nobody's holding our education system accountable. If you really believe that school choice will make other schools be better, it's probably not going to happen. Sorry, let me, come on, get up there. Come on, there you go. Sorry, cat always has to be in the videos. This is what's going on. And this is what we're living with. That's what I'm going to Washington to do. I'm going to go fight for the common person. I'm going to go fight for each and every single one of us who are blue collar workers. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're public servants. It has gone on for way too long that we have allowed the same people over and over and over again to keep being elected in office and keep doing nothing for the common everyday worker. It's time that we change that. What other questions were we asked? I think I pretty much covered where we stand. What are you? I think we covered what I'm running for. What are you going to do for all the taxpayers? I think we covered that. If any of you guys have any more questions or want anything answered or want to know who I'm about or where I stand, please put in the notes. Go down here, put in the notes. I'm also going to ask you guys if you guys could donate to my campaign. We are buying yard signs again. We just bought 500. We are almost out of them. We're down to about 40, so I need a little bit more help getting some more yard signs, getting some more banners. Also, we have some bumper stickers available right now. If anybody wants them, we still probably got about another 50 bumper stickers available for anybody. Please like and share my pages with all your friends. Let them know. My name is Diego Martinez, and I am running for District 13, which is North Fresno all the way up to Lathrop. But the reality is I'm running for the California people from all districts. We have talked a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about here. Somebody said border security. What are you planning to do? You're an immigrant. Where do you stand on border security? I'm going to just make this kind of quick and simple on border security. Where we stand on border security is I believe that we need to secure our borders. The reason we need to secure our borders is because of the high amount of drugs that are coming into this country through our southern borders, the amount of sex trafficking, human trafficking that is coming through our southern borders, that we need to lock that down and get a better grip on. I also believe that we need to do an immigration reform program, and we can talk about that some other day, about where we stand on immigration and a reform program of what's going on. They also asked me, sorry, I'm trying to remember half the questions here. I'm trying to read them at the same time. Where do I stand on law and order? Where do I stand on law and order? I believe that law and order is something that we need to bring back here, especially in the Central Valley, especially in my district. Why? Because right now we are defunding police, crime is up, and people do not feel safe. People need to be able to feel safe. You have the President of the United States claim we need to fund the police department after they were actually saying that we needed to defund it. That doesn't work. It's either one or the other. So we can't have it one way or the other. We actually need to do more funding. We need people to feel safe. We also need to give our police officers the protection that they deserve to be able to actually go do their jobs and not be afraid to do their jobs. Because that's one of the things that's going on right now. They're trying to put a law in the state of California where if a police officer commits on the job, if he does his job, he can get sued by local people. That program needs to come to stop. Everybody knows that I'm pro-Second Amendment. I will stand up for our Second Amendment rights. But more than that, I will stand up for our constitutional rights, whatever they are. Because our Constitution was raised as a guide of the way that we're supposed to be, and we need to be able to stand behind our Constitution and always honor the Constitution of the United States and stand by it. Trying to find some more questions here, guys. Sorry. I'm trying to make sure I answer everybody's questions at the same time. Good morning to all of you guys who are joining me. And if some of you guys are new to the show, thank you for joining us. We do this every Thursday morning. This is open to all parties and anybody who wants to join. I'm a firm believer that both parties have failed the American people and both parties have failed the California people. I also would like to ask for donations to help our campaign move forward. I want to thank everybody who has donated. Yesterday we picked up almost $700 worth of donations. If you guys go to my link, underneath there will be a link where you can make a donation, or you can go on DiegoMartinez4Congress.com, which our webpage is now up and running. We are on all social medias. Hit the donate button, and anything that you can donate is highly appreciated and very welcome. It does go into our materials, our yard signs, our bumper stickers, our advertising. Campaigns take a lot of money to run, so I need some support and I need a little bit of help so that we can actually move forward with the campaign. We're doing pretty good at this moment, but all donations are very much welcomed and accepted. Let's talk a little bit about everybody always talks about water. I mean, it's one of the craziest things. We kind of talked about desalination, stuff that we need to do about water. State of Union. How many of you guys want to actually discuss what happened at the State of Union? How many of you guys actually watched it? Because I didn't watch it. I actually went back and watched some of the highlight reels that were going on. I didn't like the part of Joe Biden trying to talk about his kid coming home in a cover flag when he left 13 of our soldiers in Afghanistan who got killed because he pulled out of there. I don't like the fact that we left a bunch of military equipment there, that we gave them the sources when we gave back a country, which we should have had no right doing. I don't like what's going on in Ukraine right now. I don't know if our government has actually moved fast enough to help those people out. Give me your thoughts and comments on that. I don't want to get too much into my personal beliefs. Watch the lies and the destruction turn. And I heard that a lot from people who watched it, that it was a lot of lies going on, that it wasn't even the truth what he was saying, that he was stumbling, that he didn't know one country from the other. I kind of watched those high reels. This is what we have representing us. What are we going to do about it? That is the biggest question here. What are we going to do about it? We can't keep complaining, because complaining isn't doing anything. I think it's the time that we unite. And I say that word, unite. And we heard it quite a bit when Joe Biden was running. I'm going to unite the country. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to do something different. I'm asking each and every single one of you guys to unite with your neighbors, with your co-workers. Talk about the issues. Get involved. Whether it's in a central committee or whether it's in your neighborhood or just at home. Get involved. Let people know what's going on. Talk about the issues. Don't get upset about the issues. One of the hardest things is this. If we look back in history, we look at Ronald Reagan. I use him as a big example all the time. Ronald Reagan always put both parties. Ronald Reagan sat there and talked to both parties and actually made sense of the bills passing. That's why he has such a high approval rate his second term as president. He got 90%. 90%. That was unheard of. 90% of America voted for Ronald Reagan for the second term because he was able to communicate with both parties. And we need to take something from that and say, hey, you know what? I need to be able to talk to my coworker. Everybody has a different opinion and a different idea. But I guarantee you this, and we've noticed this with our campaign. And you guys could thumbs up, down on this, on what I'm going to say next. We're going through like 10 different social media networks right now. So if I don't get to your comment today, I will go back and I'll go back through all 11 social media platforms that we're going through, and I will read all your comments, and we will revisit this next week. What are the most important things to you as a Californian living every day, California taxpayer, or if you don't pay taxes? What are the most important things to you that need to change right now to make it a better living? This is the one thing that I have heard throughout our district and throughout California from running: our economy. Everybody says our economy is in the toilet. We want more jobs. We want more American jobs. We want to be able to work and make better wages. The homeless. The homeless is a huge problem that nobody ever talks about. I'll come back. I'm going to round back to the homeless problem here. I wanted to take about 10 minutes to talk about the homeless problem, so I'm leaving it for last. Education, or safety. Those aren't party problems. Those are California problems. Again, if I missed anything that's important to you, go ahead and put on the bottom here. I want everybody to know that I am pro-life, and I will always vote for pro-life. I won't sway that vote. I won't go another direction, but I will always vote pro-life if that comes up. Let's talk a little bit about the homeless before we end the show. We have a huge homeless problem in the state of California. We all know it. We see it every day when we walk out. We look around, we have homelessness. When you go to the store, you have a homeless person. You go to the auto shop, wherever you go, there's homeless people. You go to work, there's homeless people sitting in front of your home or of your work. So what are we doing about it? This is for once that I'll say this and I'll say it again. We need to think about America first, American people. We are sending billions of dollars to Afghanistan, Jordan, and other countries to help them, help their people get better. How about sending that money here to California, where we really need the people to get better? So homelessness works very simple. The federal government sends money per county when they declare a state of emergency, right? When the state of emergency is sent, and every county is on a state of emergency when it comes to the homeless, the federal government sends them X amount of dollars, and the county can do whatever they want with the money. Problem number one, you're allowing elected officials with no regulations, with no checks and balances, to have an open check, basically, because whatever money they get for the homeless, they can use for whatever they need, even though it's supposed to be going for the homeless, right? But it doesn't. It actually goes more for administration. 95% of the money that comes into each county for the homeless problem actually gets spent on administration. So you got 5% trickling down for services for the homeless, like to feed them. They're not even housing them right now. So my proposal is very simple. The federal government regulates what that money's spent for. First of all, we need an area. We need a piece of land where we can actually have the homeless be not in front of your shop, not outside in front of your neighborhoods, not out sleeping in the park bench, but they need to be able to have a place where they can be at. Now, this isn't a jail. This is out of everywhere else that's going on. This is strictly going to be, well, that was a little different there, huh? We got paused there a little bit. Apparently the power went out here. Well, they have to have a place where we can do an intake, where we can evaluate the homeless. If you need mental health, we will be able to provide you mental health. If you need drug addiction, we will help you with drug addiction. If you need alcohol rehab, we will help you get alcohol rehab. Have you in a location, not in front of the public, not out front where everybody can see you, but in a location where you have services available to you. They are humans, and they do deserve to be treated as human beings. They also deserve an opportunity for us to be able to help them get the rehab and get the training that they need to be able to live. Now, my plan goes a little deeper than that. My plan is that we help them get off drugs, get off alcohol, get the mental health that they need. Once they are able, for all these services that we are providing, we will also provide them a trade. We will provide them a trade school. So while you're going to rehab, you're going to trade school. We want to give people a motive, a incentive to get off drugs, a incentive to do better in life. We want to get these people the ability to have a second chance of life. So we want to provide them a trade. We talk about housing. We want to be able to help them have housing that they can live in, that they have a shelter, that they have food, right? How do you do that? It will cost the state billions of dollars to do something like this. It will cost the federal government so much money to do this. But guess what? If we train them and give them a trade school, they will help us build their housing. Not only will they help us do that, they will also have a trade once they leave the program where they can become productive members of society. So when they get back into society, they can actually go to work, make a living, and defend for themselves. This is a solid program. I said it last night in the meeting, and I'll say it again today. Whether I get elected or not, after this campaign, I am going to start the program, and I'm going to show people that this program can work. We're going to get some land. We're going to get some help from nonprofit organizations in our counties, and we're going to push this program so it could be a pilot program to what people can and will be able to do in the future. We're going to put a solid program together, whether I'm in office or whether I'm not, because this is something that I feel that I need to give back to our community and to the other people and see if this system works. It could be a flagship for the rest of the California people to be able to do this. That's where I feel about the homeless, and that's what we are willing to do and want to do for the homeless that are out there right now. are suffering. Now, those are my intentions to do when I go to Washington. That's something that I'm going to bring back to the people. And I know that a lot of these people have already had a second, third, fourth chance, but none of them have ever been given a trade or a reason to live or a reason to get off drugs because they can see their life getting better. They have been given rehab, but after rehab, they go back to being homeless because they don't have a place to live. After rehab, they actually don't have the support that they need because rehab stops. We're talking about a community, building houses, building jobs, creating, and also having the resources that they need on hand, on site, so they can go back, so they don't reoffend, so that we keep them motivated to keep going. And the nonprofit organization has to show the increase in success exit these programs and have proof of it. Follows up should be required. 100%, I agree. See, and here's the thing. I think it should be nonprofits are great, but they're getting rich off all these programs. I think it's something that we do in our community, and we hold the money accountable through our community, not through nonprofits. I'm going to ask nonprofits to help me build this program, whether I'm in office or not. We're going to make this program successful, and I want everybody to tune in after that because I'll be showing you guys from the start to the finish of this program. We'll be monitoring and having everything calculated, exactly how this program works and where it ended up at the end. I'm looking for a success. I'm looking for this, whether I get elected in Congress or whether I don't. If we don't get elected for Congress, we're actually going to move forward with this program and do it on our own, again, with local help, with nonprofit organizations, with people who are already feeding the homeless coming here. We're going to ask a couple of people to put some porta potties out in these places so we can do this. We have a lot of stuff that we need to stand up for. We have kids with special needs that aren't getting the needs that they need. The parents aren't getting the help that they actually need. So we need to stand up for those. We need to stand up for senior citizens who Social Security is the only thing that hasn't increased in decades. You can't expect somebody to live on $1,000 a month and say, hey, so sad, too bad, that's all you get. We need to be able to restructure what we're doing with the way life is changing. Final thoughts for the day. Thank you, all of you, for joining me. This is just a little bit of the policies and where I want to change in California. A lot of you guys know that I go up and down California. A lot of you guys know that I talk to a lot of people. I'd like you to like and share my page. We are doing a special on Veterans Affairs. They have a Veterans Affairs in Riverbank has a museum that has just exploded. They're talking to veterans from World War II all the way to the last war. They help veterans get needs that they have. So here in a couple of weeks, be ready to watch that video because that's going to come on. We're actually going to go next Friday to Veterans Affairs in Riverbank. If any of you guys want to be there, they have a museum. We're going to film an editorial about our veterans, what Veterans Affairs does, how we as everyday people can help our veterans and give them the services that they need because our veterans should never be homeless. And a lot of the people that are homeless today are our veterans who feel that they don't get the services that they deserve or they need. And that's why Veterans Affairs is such a great organization. Thank you guys for joining me. Right now, so you guys can see my internet's cutting in and out. Remember we talked about small generators? That's what's running my house right now. The power went out during the middle of this recording. My generator kicked in. Imagine 2024 where you can't have a generator, where you can't have a small generator to keep your podcast going. I have a podcast. I will reach out to you after I get off of here. And thank you very much for inviting me on your podcast. I look forward to meeting you through the podcast and talking about our issues here in California and what we're planning to do different. If they take away your small generators, your weed eaters, your lawnmowers, your gas, and make you go into battery, right now my podcast wouldn't be able to go. A lot of people will lose their jobs. Again, thank you guys for joining me. My name is Diego Martinez. I'm running for Congress in District 13. That's the Central California. I look forward to seeing and meeting a lot of you when we're on the campaign trail or anywhere where we're at. Please come out and talk to us. we are more than welcoming everybody to come and ask questions, see where we stand, and see what we can do to help better our state and our state of mind. Have a good day, and we'll see you guys.